In a world with only hot takes,
Two college friends try to cool down sports media.
join Jack and Jared every week as they tackle the biggest stories on the NFL.
And give the reasonable football analysis you won't hear anywhere else.
Welcome to 710 Sports.
Welcome back to episode 17 of 710 Sports with
Jack
and Jared. Thanks for joining us after this week 8 of the NFL season. Heading into week 9 here. You guys already know from the title from the last episode of the podcast, if you listened or watched. It's Jack P's Pinsetter, week 8 edition. Jack, are you excited?
I am excited. Yeah. I am.
Yeah, this is
definitely glad to do it again after more weeks. More weeks have passed.
Yeah, this is big time here, guys. We don't get this every week. In fact, we only get it once a month. That's by design. Jack's put a lot of work into these rankings. I put a lot of work into the graphic.
Let's not go too far. About for my side, not for how much work you've done. I'm talking how much work I've done.
Jack's trying to prepare everybody for let's not hype this up too much here, guys. Okay, let's not like have like a drum roll or anything. Like let's
Ta-da.
Yeah. So okay. So I mean, I think that we're pretty much ready to get right into it because we had our podcast sort of the updates about week 8. So we talked a little bit about week 9. These are rankings. So going into week 9, right, Jack?
Yes. This is going into week 9 after the Monday Night Football game. Yes.
Yep. And so basically this is a Pinsetter. And so we have specific bowling themed ranks, which Jack, I'm sure you'll want to touch on as we go through each tier. There's how many tiers are there?
There are seven tiers.
Okay, excellent. So we're actually gonna pop this open right now for people who are watching on the video podcast. You're gonna be able to see our rankings, and we're actually going to do them live. I'm gonna update the graphic live as Jack kind of walks through it.
Yeah. Jared does not know. He does not know what rankings I've done yet. Right? He knows as much as you out there.
Exactly. I don't know what's coming here. It's a surprise to me. Yes. So, and this is from last week. This is our graphic. I don't remember where the Rams were. Do you remember where the Rams were?
Yeah. Wait. I gotta use Google Sheets real quick. Not sponsored by Google Sheets. Because I can check the edit history. I had the Rams in the middle tier, flat 10.
Okay, there we go. Throw them in there. It's a taste of what we're going to get for the rest of the episode. If you're looking to advertise, please reach out. We've got spots on the Pinsetter for an ad. If you're interested, let us know. If you want us to actually be sponsored by something. Exactly. We're never sponsored, but we could be by you. Reach out. 710 Sports with Jack and Jared. All right, so Jack, here we go. Pinsetter. I'm going to just hand it off to you. You're going to get started here.
Yeah, kicking this off. We're kicking off with the bottom tier. This is the thrown out of the alley drunk tier, which is obviously, if you're trying to compete in a bowling game, kind of suboptimal if you're thrown out drunk. Probably feels pretty bad, really, if this is happening to you. This tier, right? First of all, these rankings relatively bottom heavy. A lot of like the bottom 3 tiers. I haven't done the math right now, but I think make up more than half of the teams. But that means the top teams I got to kind of delineate a lot, kind of separate out a lot with a level of granularity. There you go, using some fancy words. But to start with with the thrown out of the drunk tier, we have the Panthers as the first team I'm putting here. Do you want me to read it slowly so you can drag each one, or just run through Steelers?
You got it. You just go. Yeah,
and
Steelers.
Then boom,
okay.
Steelers, then Lions, and then Texans, and then Raiders, and then lastly Bears. Oh, that nice picture of Gruden there, and that only real thing I'll hit on is I guess the Bears. I know they had the 2 trades. They got Chase Claypool. They've been looking better, Just Fields been looking better, but I think trading 2 star defensive players on a team that already wasn't going to look good. I was thinking of moving up to 1 tier up maybe with Chase Claypool, maybe with Justin Fields looking good, but they lost too much in the defense. And the Raiders have just been looking terrible. I mean, there's not really too much else. I mean, like a lot of these teams have been sellers, right? Like even if you look at it, a lot of these teams other than the Raiders have been sellers, or the Texans.
And the Raiders might be the worst of all of them. I mean, I know Texans and Lions are there, but the Raiders, man, just to think of that they basically bought all those weapons and started sort of stockpiling players to try to win the AFC West, and now they're worse than the Broncos. And then next tier, this is the gutter tier. This is the gutter tier. Again, obviously not good when you're bowling and you throw the ball in the gutter rather than actually hitting pins. Most people's first time bowling after a while or ever involves a lot of gutters. These are teams that are better. They're not like, obviously they're better than the tier below it, but they're still like not even, I wouldn't even say playoff teams at this point. They're just not good. At least they're still in the alley, but
exactly. They're still in the alley. They're not like maybe they've shown more signs of greatness, perhaps, but these are the Colts, the Saints. The Pat McAfee photo. Colts, Saints, Broncos, Jaguars, and Packers. The Packers.
Packers are in the gutter.
I'm putting them low. It just is not. They just lost a lot of games. Even the game against the Patriots, against Bailey Zappi in his first ever game, and whoever the Patriots backup was, the original backup. I now forget.
Oh,
I'm
Hoyer.
not blanking, but that's right, Hoyer. And like Hoyer was looking good against them. I mean, Zappi was looking okay against them too, but like Hoyer, for as long as Hoyer was in, they looked pretty good. And that was like I don't know. The Packers I'm cold on. I know that might be one of the more controversial things here. The Broncos beat the Jags, but have also not looked very good. They've looked pretty bad, and they've now sold a good player. Saints, even though they beat the Raiders are on the bottom tier. The Saints are bad. Basically, all these teams not look good. I would take in almost any cross matchup any team ranked above them over any team ranked in this tier. I think I would say maybe the Packers are bad. Any thoughts?
Well,
any thoughts? I got to convince myself about this.
Yeah, I got thoughts on this. We want to. I mean, we can quickly loop back to week 4. I'm going to do this to you. I'd like to point out that you're the Jags in the clean game category, which is the second from the top.
Yeah,
you've got the Jags in a
I'm
quick
just a wacky
4 weeks.
dude. have dropped from the second to the top to second to the bottom. That is true.
Yeah, I mean
that is quite true.
I think
I was a bit hot on them off the first couple of games. They looked pretty good, but they have clearly regressed back to last year.
Right, they've only lost, I think, since the last Jack Pinsetters.
Yes, that take it has aged a bit. I will admit,
and I think that it's going to be probably the biggest change on a single team basis. Maybe I can't imagine someone making from the bottom to the top jump like that, but you never know. I don't know. Maybe.
Where did I have the Seahawks? Where did I have the Seahawks week 4?
Yeah, Atlanta maybe.
No. Where did I have the Seahawks week 4?
Let's
pull that up.
Yeah, you had them in the 7-10 split category.
Oh, I did. Oh, yeah, I see. Well, interesting, but I mean, yeah, moving on to the 7-10 split category. That's right when you throw a strike, not a strike. When you throw a ball and it leaves the 2 side pins. For those not familiar with bowling, right. Basically hardest thing to pick up. Very hard to hit those 2, get both those pins. This is speaking of wide gap like that. This is the widest tier. There are 7 teams in this tier. Nothing else is this wide. These are all teams I felt like they maybe should be better. Like a lot, or maybe some of them maybe should be worse. But a lot of these teams I feel like thematically should probably be better. But they just aren't, or the teams that were good but had to put pieces together, or bad coaching, whatever it is. There's something about them that's preventing them from being better. But again, just more talent. So just more talent on the team than the teams below it. Maybe just cohesively better than the teams below it, which says more about the teams below it than them. But either way, we're going the Rams. Rams are the first team on this list. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But Patriots, I put the Patriots in this tier as well. I've got the Bucks. The Bucks are in this tier right now. The Cardinals, the Washington Commanders, the New York Jets, and the Browns.
And the
Browns. Now, the Jets, I know have a pretty good record. It was a close loss to the Patriots, but between Zach Wilson looking very bad and just them missing a lot of their good players, offensively and stuff, it just given the stuff that they're missing, I had to put them here. I was considering putting them higher, but that would have been more respect to their record rather than what I actually think about them. That's what I'm talking about is teams like the Patriots, the Bucks, the Rams, the Cardinals too, for that matter. Teams that should be looking better than they are. Teams, I think teams that were playoff teams last year, but just something about it at quarterback, at wherever, just is not clicking. The Browns are here because it was a pretty good win against the Bengals last season. Myles Garrett's back and looking very good. I know he's been back for a couple of weeks now, but I know at a point he wasn't. Amari Cooper looking very good. They definitely want to creep them up a bit. Definitely not higher than that, but
and so
pretty good.
I want to actually touch on some of the people that you maybe coming in the season I would think that would be lower than just below average. This is the third from the bottom, so it's the middle tier is up next. But this is I think there's some teams like the Jets and maybe the Commanders, maybe the Browns, depending on what you thought. This feels like where the Browns I thought where they were going to be going in. But the Jets, they're doing better than I would have anticipated. But also, you've got them third from the bottom. You got them as a below average team, and aren't they 5-3?
Yes, and they're 5-3, I believe.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because I would definitely have them above average.
I think
wouldn't you? Because
I would. I know, and I was thinking of putting them average, and that's that was one of the things I was having trouble with. For me, it was really the injuries. It was really the injuries on the team. I think being the big part that I think the missing out on their star running back is big, especially when you're you don't want to put the ball in Zach Wilson's hands. Right. This is maybe it was more because I watched a lot of the Patriots games, so I could see Zach Wilson just not looking good. This is one that I know the Jets. I feel like it feels rough putting a team with a record that good below average, but I just don't have faith.
You can look through a lot of these teams. You can look through a lot of these teams, and the fact of the matter is, if you get a 7-10 split in bowling, you throw the ball, you keep it on the lane, but at the end something goes wrong, you put it right through the nose, and you made a mistake, and you paid full price. And it feels like for a lot of these teams, they might have made just a little bit of a mistake, personnel-wise, coaching-wise, and now they're paying for it. And so I would say that for the Jets, Zach Wilson himself is the 7-10 split. Especially looking at how the game went against the Patriots, that team is the defense is very good. And he's just not playing very well at all. He's not good. That's the fact of the matter. And so you can look at the other teams and say the Patriots, they got their own QB troubles going on. The Commanders have franchise issues. The Cardinals have a coach and QB that don't like each other and probably combined
homework clause
and whatever's going on there. So it's the only other thing I would say is that I think the Rams, I might put the Rams in the gutter, truthfully, because to me
they've looked pretty bad.
They've looked pretty bad, and also it's like they sold out. They really did. They said last year, we're going to mortgage the future for this season, for this Super Bowl, and it paid off. But
And they
now,
did. Yeah.
if Cooper Kupp is probably going to be out for a little bit, he's hurt. I mean, I don't know. He says he's probable to play next week, but he's got some sort of ankle sprain or something.
Yeah.
Left the game against the 49ers.
Yeah, they
and they're top heavy. That's the fact of the matter is, like, they needed everything that they had to just barely beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl. And
the stars aligning.
Yeah, they don't have the depth to be a good enough team like a lot of the good teams that you look at in the league right now, like Kansas City, Eagles, Seattle, where they have all these really good players at all these different positions. Dallas, even, they have really, really good stars and great players, and then that's it. So I don't know. That's all I'd say about the 7-10 split in the Rams. They're bad.
Yeah, yeah, and again, but before we move on, the Jets could easily go up a tier. I would not put them in Turkey or anything like that. I could easily see them being a flat 10. I had them. It's some of my more preliminary things having them at the flat 10 ranking. I just am more this might be more me projecting the future. More than anything else. I don't think they're gonna keep this because I think they have like Bills. They play the Bills and then a bye week and then they play the Patriots again. I think those will be 2 losses, and then it's 5-5, and then I just am not hot on the Jets.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. You got you
given
don't
their
want
injuries.
You don't want the
given their
take
injuries
to age poorly.
Yeah. I'm not looking for another Jags at the second tier situation.
Right, of course. Okay,
but anyway, so flat 10. This is the next tier, relatively skinny tier here. This is bowling when you throw. You throw the ball, you get 9 of the pins, you miss the 10 pin. And if you want more detail than that, you have to go to Jared. But
yeah, flat 10 is just it's a good pocket shot. If you're hitting the pocket and you're bowling well, you're going to leave some 10 pins, and a flat 10, it's just a little bit, it's a little bit sad. It would be an average shot. You just got to go clean it up, get the spare. And so it's an average tier.
Yeah. It's easy to pick up, easy to clean up. But definitely want more than that. This tier, interesting teams. This is where I have the Titans. I know we talked about them last episode. We have the Chargers in this tier, and we have the Falcons in this tier. There's only those 3 teams. Start on the Titans. Yeah, they're leading the division and everything, and they look pretty good. Run game wise, they have a relatively good defense. At least like some pieces on our defense, just definitely not. The quarterback situation is still in flux. And can Derrick Henry run for 200 yards? If he can, then you win. If not, it might be rough. But they're 5-2.
Titans,
they're probably a playoff
neutral.
team.
True neutral of the NFL. They probably beat half of the teams if they play them. They probably lose the other half.
And wait, this is where I have the Falcons. I have them here because I liked enough that they're 4-4, but I liked, like I said in the last episode, that some of their losses have been close. Like some of their wins have been close, but some of their losses have been close or have been, they should have had a chance for a 2-minute drill, stuff like that. Chargers are here because I think there's still talent on the team. I'd have to check the injury report and stuff to see who's getting back and when, but I think that Justin Herbert, as cold relatively as we are on him, as much as we try to avoid here at 710 Sports, rating him too highly, like kind of going too crazy, he's pretty good.
He is.
There's defense. They have star players on both sides of the ball. They should be better than this tier, but they aren't, right? We have not seen enough to put them above this tier.
They lose winnable games, which has been
exactly
that was their thing last year as well. I mean, fair. I like this. I think you nailed it with the Titans. I think that they're truly an average team. It's funny to think about Atlanta as an average team, but they are 4-4. They've got a win over Seattle. They've got a couple of good wins. And like I said, I do think that everyone would
plenty of people would have the Chargers higher than I think average here. But if you watch these games, I might say that it's lower. But like you said, 710 Sports LLC has some internal biases against Justin Herbert and the Chargers that we might have to clean up, and we're trying to. You know,
the two notes I'd say about the two comments you just said. For one thing, the Falcons, I was also put them surprisingly high. I just felt like for me, it says less about the Falcons and more about the other teams, almost, and about how they're playing.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, teams below this, I think a lot of them definitely have potential and should be higher, but aren't. I think the Chargers. As for the Chargers, I think they're all the teams in this year are top half. I'm pretty sure we could count it. There's 7, 5, 6. That's 13, 18. So the bottom 3 tiers are the bottom 18 teams. Even something being in the flat 10 of the middle tier is still, compared to the average, all of them are still theoretically above average. If you call the average team the 16th ranked team, if that makes sense.
So that's okay. So the 7-10 split but really right now. There are some. The true averages in there. Maybe it's the Jets.
The true average is on the top half of that tier, that sort of thing.
Right.
Somewhere in there. Right. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's the Jets. Well, moving on, we have Turkey, another relatively big tier. This is when you get 3 strikes in a row, which is obviously pretty good for anyone who knows anything about bowling. 3 strikes in a row, coming up on Thanksgiving. But no,
these teams get Thanksgiving early with a turkey ranking from the Jack B's Pinsetter.
Teams here, we have the Bengals, we have the Giants. Here, wait, I'll give you. I know you got to find it. It's a new looks new. Bengals, Giants. Do I like this tier placement? Sure. Cowboys.
Oh boy! Almost an on-the-fly change. I said Bengals there.
I said Bengals, or not a change. Yeah, almost an on-the-fly change. This is where I had it: 49ers, and Dolphins.
Okay, now we're getting to some good teams here.
Yeah. Now we're getting to good teams. I think all these teams are playoff teams. I think all these teams are pretty good. I was thinking about if I wanted to put the Cowboys higher, but I decided against it. I'm gonna keep them here, unless you petition me here. But the Bengals had a pretty bad loss to the Browns, so I moved them down compared to last ranking and compared to what I originally wanted them before the Monday night game. I was gonna have them as here above, but I didn't want to overreact too much and move them too far down. I know at some point they'll get back Jamar Chase. I know at some point they'll fire their coach, Zach Taylor. But I mean, I wanted to move them down. I didn't want to overreact too much. Same thing with the Giants. I think they're probably still up or the same compared to last tier list, but I would have considered putting them up higher. I didn't want to move them down too much, especially since they played the Seahawks, who obviously are in one of the top 2 tiers, considering they have not come up yet. But that was kind of my thinking for those teams who both are in this tier but suffered losses. The other teams all won this week, so 49 is pretty convincingly. That's part of why I moved them up to this tier. Didn't want to move them up too much higher. But yes, any thoughts on this?
I got so many thoughts. I'm having a hard time placing them. I don't know where to start here. I think it's fair enough. I could see your dilemma with trying to say you've got the Giants and the Cowboys. They've got the same record. And how do you split them up? But I would definitely say that the Cowboys are better than the Giants.
I would say that.
But the thing is, then you have to say you got to move the Giants down, which I don't think that they deserve to be in flat 10 because of how they played, being 6-2, or you got to move the Cowboys to clean game. I don't know. So maybe that's
I know.
Fair.
Yeah, it's for me mentally, I was it's kind of like you I had to you kind of sorry, I kind of had to mentally within the tier rank them a bit. Cowboys are a team. I mean, I was about to say it as I was listing at the teams, right? Cowboys were a team I was very much thinking, should they move up one? team like the Giants were more like, should they move down one? Not to overreact too much, but they did look pretty. Or maybe it's says more about Seattle, but they had like 40 offensive yards in the first half or something just despicable offensively. And it just did not look good.
They were in that game.
They kept Saquon to like 50 yards, but they were in that game for a lot of it.
They lost because of a couple of muffed punts. Yeah. Really, I mean, not completely, but like they gave the game away on a couple of muffed punts. So I do think Seattle's better than them. So I understand ranking Seattle better. So there's that. But I think that's not my biggest problem. My biggest problem is I'm not going to touch the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins. I don't trust the Dolphins, and I know you don't trust the Dolphins. But to put them at Turkey, I think is a fair ranking, which I feel like that's fair. Bengals are 4-4, aren't they? 4-4. Bengals have no offensive line, and they've only shown in a few games this season that they've been able to use the short pass game effectively to circumnavigate having a bad O line. They against Cleveland. They got away from that all on Monday night for some reason. And they did not do the 5-yard slants. They did not do the drag routes. They didn't give Joe Burrow.
They were doing a lot of behind. I heard they were doing a lot of like behind the line of scrimmage stuff that was not working well. Is something the screens. Some analyst I saw say something like that. Screens, stuff like that. But I know what you're saying. Definitely do. I feel like the team, frankly, on both sides of the ball, has a fair amount of talent.
I know,
and I just feel like
this was my Super Bowl pick.
And more so than a team. Yeah, I know you. More so than a team like the Bucs, I would even say. Obviously, Tom Brady's greatest of all time, so on. But like, I mean, right now where they are in their careers, like etc. I think the Bengals, I think there's enough, and they've shown enough flashes of greatness that I'm hoping they're gonna kind of piece it together, underdog sort of thing. I think the Browns are one of those things that it's not quite at the point where like the Colts always lose to the Jaguars. Not quite at that sort of level, but I think it's I feel like I saw something weird about division. It was a divisional loss. I thought the Browns looked pretty good. I think it was also the Browns looking good as well. I don't know. That was a tough part. Right, I'll be honest. That was. And
listen, if you,
I could see him moving down more. I could see him moving down again. Definitely.
If you say, "Hey, I'm not interested in moving them down because I think that moving in the next month they're gonna bring it back together." Fair enough. I don't personally. This is my Super Bowl pick, but I just can't see it with the way that they're giving up. They're still giving up sacks after.
Do you want to
putting the line together?
Do you want to revise? That could be an interesting segment. We could do it at the end of this. Do it some other time. Hot take new Super Bowl picks, but anyway.
Yes, we'll have to touch on that halfway through the season, which I guess is coming up. So, and the other thing about this tier would be the 49ers. You don't have to comment on this, but I'm about to double down on my take from last week.
Oh,
get ready. Oh. I know everybody. This is what everybody's saying. Everybody says, "Oh, you know what? They got McCaffrey. They came out and they immediately lost to Kansas City," and people are like, we're still holding our San Francisco stock. So then they go out there and they go to LA on the road where almost the entire stadium was San Francisco fans. And they
always own. They always own
exactly.
Own the Rams.
And they destroy them because the Rams, as I said and as you have here, are an below average team who are top heavy and whose some of their top players might not even be very good, like Matthew Stafford and Jalen Ramsey. And so now everybody says, well, look what San Francisco did. Deebo Samuel wasn't even out there. McCaffrey's catching touchdowns, throwing touchdowns. Oh my God. He's the second coming of Christ. Oh my goodness. No, I'm not about it. Listen, this team, so what? They beat an averaged and possibly, in my opinion, a bad team. They beat a bad team convincingly. Well, guess what? The good teams are supposed to do that. When we saw San Francisco against the Kansas City Chiefs, it was not close, and it actually, the score was maybe a little bit better. It looked a little bit better than I would have thought because, as we discussed, there at no point in that game did I think that San Francisco could possibly beat Kansas City. And that goes for, Philadelphia. That goes for the Bills.
Mm.
I don't know if I'd say that San Francisco doesn't have a chance against, the Cowboys or the Vikings or the Ravens, but I probably take all those teams over San Francisco. And so my take about it being, I'm not saying that they're not a playoff team and they might not be good, but the fact that they traded that much of their draft away for one player, I don't think that they're Super Bowl contenders. Really, I just don't see it.
I'm gonna agree with that because I feel like with the kind of rise of the Seahawks, so to speak, and stuff like that, even that division's harder now. I mean, looking at it, their schedule's pretty hard. They play the Chargers. But I mean, this is where it loops back. This is actually, I'm going to restart where I was going to start originally.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to make, like, and obviously everything would be different. Yeah, everything. A lot of things would be different if you made this. But where would you put the 49ers? Like would you move them down to a flat 10? Probably. Would you move them down to 7 split?
I think so. I mean, isn't their record like 4-4 or 3-4 or something? Because Seattle's 4-3 and they're leading the division. So
why isn't this showing? This is not showing it to me. 4-4, yes.
Yeah, 4-4. I just don't think you can put them with. That's the same problem with the Bengals. You got Miami, the Giants, Dallas. All we know is that those teams are winning games, and they're winning them more than a 500 clip, right? I mean, you even got the Titans are winning 5-2, and we talked about last episode. The Titans are frauds. They are bad teams. They are a bad team. They're beating bad teams. I'm not saying move them up. I'm just saying,
Yeah, I know.
That's my thing.
Yeah,
I would put them in flat 10.
Yeah.
I'd be very comfortable putting them and the Bengals.
Yeah, I
in
could
flat
see
10.
that.
That's just me though.
I think both of those pieces are fair. We'll see. We're gonna leave it at this.
Yeah.
One thing I say is 49ers have a kind of hard schedule. The Chargers, which I think is not an easy game anyway. Cardinals, Saints, that's pretty easy. Dolphins, Bucks, again, probably easy unless things change. And they play the Seahawks, and they play. Wait, did they already play? Yeah, they play the Seahawks. They play the Commanders. They play the Raiders. That's easy. They play the Cardinals again. I guess it's not super hard, but I think I think the football teams, whatever they are, Commanders is okay. Right, they're below average, but I don't know.
Yeah,
we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Getting bogged down, but this is exactly the thing that I feel like I've got to put a team up there, or else I'm gonna have the top 3 tiers. Every team above average. There'd only be 9 teams
right.
if I move the Bengals 49ers out, which is but anyway. Clean game. This is every frame, every part of the bowling game, you get a strike or a spare. So either way, you at least hit every pin. Every pin has been hit.
Absolutely.
Every pin has been hit. This is where we have the Vikings, the Seahawks, and the Ravens. I like that new picture, that new icon we have for the Vikings, which is a dripped out Christian Kirk. No, Kirk Cousins.
Dripped out Kirk Cousins. Feeling empowered by wearing a chain for the first time, which Jack and I know. We have a friend who
big chain fan.
Big chain, always dripped out, and I tell you what, I've wore his chain before, and it does empower you. So shout out to Kirk, for putting on the chain finally.
The Ravens. That's that Disney, the purple kind of Disney Raven. Yeah, Disney icon there. These are all teams I think are pretty good. I would call all these teams. Ravens have had some shaky games, but, and I'm gonna say it again, there's so much talent, and especially with they were a question mark for me in this tier before. Originally, I had the Bengals before the Monday night, before some of the trades. I had the Bengals solidly in clean game tier, and I had the Ravens in clean game, but like as a question mark. But then the Ravens went and traded for Roquan Smith, and I feel like that for me that kind of pretty solidly puts them in clean game, as opposed to kind of being like iffy. Do I put them one below that? For me, that trade was pretty big. It would have been tough. I probably would have still put them here, maybe, but it would have been tough. With that's a big piece added to their defense. I think they have some pretty young receivers who I think are improving. I have not watched all the games, but players like Duvernay, I think have been improving. Mark Andrews is still a very good tight end. And the hope with Lamar Jackson is that he can, even on his own, create offense. So kind of shoring up the defense even further, especially when they had been last season. I think they were one of the worst pass defenses in the league. Letting kind of, I think, adding another big piece to the front seven and just like to the defense as a whole, injured player, like so on and so forth. That's why I like them here. Kind of similarly with the Vikings, I was more solid on them being here. Their record's very good. They've been winning a lot of games.
Yep.
They only lost to the Eagles, if I remember right, in prime time. So they lost to obviously a team in the top 3. And like they lost to them, and it was in prime time, and so on, blah blah blah. And they just traded for TJ Hawkinson, which I think is a big addition offensively. Even more weapons to add to that offense. You have Adam Thielen, you have obviously Justin Jefferson, you have Dalvin Cook. You have a lot of offensive talent there that if they can piece like that's just a lot of good players there. And that gets us to the Seahawks. Sorry, I was just kind of yawning. Gets us to the Seahawks. They've just been playing pretty well, right? They are 5-3. They're leading that division. Geno Smith has been looking very, very good. A lot of the rookies they drafted have been looking very, very good. Kenneth Walker, the tackle Cross, I forget it's Charles Cross, I forget his first name. The rookies have been looking good. They've just been kind of winning games. They lost to the 49ers. That is one thing. I guess earlier they played the 49ers and lost, but I know one of their losses was close. You know, they've just been playing very good football.
They lost to Atlanta.
They did lose to Atlanta,
and they gave up one to the Saints, the 4-touchdown game. I've been following the Seahawks religiously here because I was on Geno before the season even started.
You were.
You remember me? Go check it out.
I remember this.
There is literal tapes of me saying, "Put respect on Geno's name" before the Broncos game, and I took them. I took Seattle and Geno over the Broncos.
Yeah, but looking at the past 3, oh yeah, that's right, you did. Looking at the past 3 games, even just the past three alone, which obviously maybe that's a better 3, but look at the past 3 games. They beat the Cardinals, who I think again I put in 7-10 split tier. They're in the below average tier, but we're a playoff team last year. Started really well. They played the Cardinals, beat them. Played the Chargers, beat them. Played the Giants, a team, right? You know, obviously pretty high in this tier list. A team that was 6-1, beat them. And beat them. Like, yes, it was a close game, but beat them pretty convincingly at the end.
And look
definitely
good doing it.
Yeah, and look good doing it. And Geno Smith looking, you know, all the pieces just all be in there. Everything looking pretty nice and spicy. Any kind of thoughts other than yes, you being very early to the Seahawks train?
Yeah, I love the Seahawks here, even though they are 4-3. It's hard to argue with the Vikings. I'm not as hot on them, but if you win games, who am I to say otherwise? And I like the Ravens here as well. I think it's a good placement. Yeah, I like this tier. I think this is right out spot on. The only thing I would say is at this point, looking at this tier, 100% I moved the Cowboys up because the Cowboys defense is better than all these teams' defenses.
Yeah,
you know, Seattle has a decent defense.
I think,
you know, and if
I think that's probably good.
If Dallas's offense can put it together like they did, scoring 49 against the Bears, well, I mean, it's hard to take even Seattle, and I love Seattle. It's hard to take Seattle over Dallas. I mean, so, but that's true. That's my only thing. You know?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Yeah, and looking at the Ravens, now that I'm looking again, they've been playing a lot of close games. They only beat the Bucks by 5. They beat that game didn't look as close if I remember right. They beat the Browns by 3. They lost to the Giants by 4. They beat the Bengals by 2. They lost to the Bills by 3. A lot of very, very close games. The Patriots game, not super close. Oh, and that Dolphins game, a lot of the games not like a lot of games are very close. Not
but that's the thing though. I think the most important thing you said in that is they lost to the Bills by 3. Bills.
And that was an end of game winning drive. I remember that game. It was like a game winning drive sort of thing to win.
And Bills
came down to the wire.
Kansas City, Philadelphia. I mean, that's who we have here, and like you haven't said, but
that's who we have as the.
Those are the clear best teams in the league, and they blow teams out. They blow average teams out. They blow good teams out. And so the idea that Ravens, could have beat the Bills that's something in and of itself.
And well, getting there, just to top this off, the 300 Club 300, that just bowling a perfect game, bowling a strike every time you throw the ball. We have the Chiefs, we have the Bills, and we have the Eagles. These teams don't have many clear flaws. Kind of surprised the Bills didn't try to trade for a running back. Kind of surprised they were like, oh, like let's. Oh, did they?
Yeah, Naeem Hines.
Oh, what did they do? It was
from the Colts. They traded for him.
Is he good? How good is he? I don't know him super well.
He's
I
like
know
sort
because
of
they
like
have Jonathan Taylor. They have Jonathan Taylor, so it's hard to like it's not.
He's sort of like an all-purpose back more, I believe. He's like you can pass the ball to him and stuff. So
I see. Well, that's pretty cool then. I like that sort of all-purpose third down back sort of thing. A James White-esque from the Patriots. But yeah, I mean, yeah, all these teams don't have really glaring flaws that I can really think of. That they're all looking very, very good in the games they're playing. And they're playing other teams in the tiers below them and winning generally. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like, yeah, Bills lost to the Dolphins by a bit. Eagles haven't lost.
Nope.
But yeah.
And really haven't been close. The closest has been Arizona. Chiefs lost to the Colts and the Bills.
Oh, that's right. They lost to the Colts.
That's the only sus thing about this tier. Yeah.
We'll write that one off. Yeah, and Bill. So that's there's only 3 losses in this tier, if I remember right. Yep. And one of them is to like one of them to another team on it. So
right within tier. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, this is it's clear. This is the exact same.
Yeah, these are the clear front
club
runners. Yeah,
from last month.
It will most likely, unless one of the teams in Clean Game or Turkey really step it up, really turn it on. This is likely to be the 300 tier next time as well, unless things change, unless the Seahawks or the Ravens or someone really like turn it up, dial it up. I would expect these teams. I would expect this top 3 to say,
"Hey, don't sleep on Seattle." Hey. You know.
I know. Cool.
No, I'm just kidding. Guy. I wouldn't put them in the 300 club, but still, yeah. No, I mean, yeah. I think that this is a really good tier list. This is a really good pin setter. You really set them up. I tried to knock them down, but I really couldn't most of the time. And so. If you're listening into the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, consider checking out the YouTube channel so you can see our sick graphics.
Even if only, I mean, yes, of course, we welcome you to just listen to it all again, but even if only to see the nice images associated with it,
right? Because this is not just your normal tier graphic stuff. No, we've got comical graphics here for the pin setter.
And we were doing it before I think, are you not supposed to do it now or something? There's something with Pat McAfee here. It's the end of the podcast, so I'm kind of derailing us.
No, it's okay.
There something with that, with him not allowed.
Yeah, all of a sudden they've been using that. They've been using graphics for a long time, and for whatever reason, they got sort of, I think, copyright struck by the NFL. The NFL just said, "Hey, stop using like any photos," I guess, from the NFL. And
hey, we have the butt fumble right there, so
yeah, that might be, we might get flagged here. But the thing is, I was thinking that about this, like when we were going to set up this graphic, and that was part of the reason that we went funny. But I also thought it was like who else does this? So I kind of thought it would be cool to do like a more comical based graphic. But I also was like, I don't want like a whole podcast to get flagged and taken down because we have the logos for the teams. So we're ahead. Yeah, we're ahead of it. Despite, I don't think that they have an answer for that yet. That show, but we were doing it first. Okay, all right. So, but yes, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Another great job for the Pinsetter, Jack. Excellent ranking here, and yeah, we're gonna be back next week to discuss. Week 8 or
week 9 even. Right,
yeah, week 9. My bad.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
There are a couple interesting games. Again, not as many as I might hope.
Yeah, the league's been kind of weird, but we'll be back. Pinsetter will be back next month after week 12. So obviously stay tuned for that as well. Thanks for watching 710 Sports.
with Jack
and Jared. Tune back in next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.